Hey YouTube, Terrence here, and this is my first tutorial on Davinci Resolve. I am a filmmaker and VFX artist. I use Resolve, Blender, and Fusion, so I'll be making tutorials for those applications on this channel here. Today I'm going to be going over my color grading workflow. I've got two clips here, that is. Got them from Pixels, one of a log video with a girl walking on the beach and one with a couple walking on the beach. This is a drone footage, it's not log. So we're going to be editing these and seeing what the final results look like. First, want to hop to the effects library and go to effects, get a fusion adjustment clip, drag it on here. Then go to media pool. This little trick I learned. Just drag the adjustment clip back into the clips here. We can rename it to grade by pressing F2. We can backspace to delete that, and then drag the grade back onto the timeline. You can press N to snap and snap it so it covers both our clips. We jump over the color, got our three clips here: clip of the girl, clip of the adjustment clip, and the clip of the couple, right? So with the clip of the girl, we're gonna start by, let's turn clips off. The way I color grade, I usually start with luminance, with white balance, and then go to luminance, and then I go to color. All right, so for each clip, we're gonna adjust the white balance and luminance, and then for the adjustment clip above everything, we're going to apply our grade to that. Alright, so let's start. I like to work with a few different nodes. I'd like to do everything on one node just in case I make a big change. I want to go back to it. So the first node here, I'm gonna just make node label. We'll call this white balance. No, let's call it color correct. Alright, and for the white balance, you can scrub through your video if you want to make it a bit automated. You can click this little picker here and you find somewhere that's white in your scene, like right here. It's not blown out, it's not too gray. Click it, and this is what Resolve thinks it should look like. We click 2 right here, you'll see that it took the tint from 0 down to negative 0.41 and the temperature up to 362. If you like it, you can keep it. If not, you can adjust it yourself. For me, I'm going for a cooler look, so I'm going to turn the temperature down some more, and the tint, I think it's good where it was. You can always use this to switch back between the changes you made. Alright, so now that that's done, I'd like to move on to, because the white balance was already good in the camera here, so there wasn't much that was needed. We'll move on to the luminance, and for that we'll be using the waveform for help. So we click here, go to waveform. It may show colors, so you want to turn off colorize just to see the luminance itself. You can pop it out if you want a bigger window. Right, and the dark areas, the shadows are at 0 and the highlights are at 1023. So if you should turn the highlights all the way up to the clips, you know that you got clipping colors, you got clipping areas right now since it's above 1023. And the same if you bring the lift all the way down below 0, you've got areas that are too dark. So let's just reset that. We are gonna start with the gamma tree here on the color wheels, right? So start the gamma, just raise the gamma, well, we'll drop it a little bit actually, and we'll raise the gain, get that up a bit higher. We'll drop the lift, we'll bring the lift down, get a bit closer to 0, and get some more contrast in the scene. Because if you have a look at the scopes here and scrub through the video, you'll see that the video affects it. So right here in the center, that's where our model is, and she's the darkest area. The sky and such, that's around here, those are the lighter areas. As she turns her head, you can see that the areas right here on the vector scope, they start showing that it's going up into the highlights. That's right, actually her forehead right here. If we go back, you can see the hair is there, then the forehead, and then the hair swings in front, right? So you can go back and forth to see what we have so far. Right, that is not looking too shabby. I think I'll work with that. You can always go back to 1. You can use the contrast here to get more contrast in. You can go to curves and go to the first one here. You can add an S curve to get a bit more contrast. right? So it's all up to you and what you feel more comfortable working with. I'm going to add a bit of contrast here with the S curve, right? And add in just a bit of saturation, about 60. I think about that. That looks fine to me, right? So that's the before, that's the after. And as I think I want to mess with her skin a little bit, so I'm going to click this here, hit Alt S to make another one. We'll label this skin, and let's just go over here and let's see. Let's get our skin a bit lighter. Let's go to hue versus luminance, and if you click the skin, it'll drop some points here that you can use as a reference. I usually drag these out. Oh wait, yeah, I usually drag these out a bit more so I can, because it never really gets everything that you need, right? So if you bring this up, you'll see that it makes the skin brighter or darker. You can just add a bit, make your skin just a tad bit brighter, right? And I think I like that. Right now, go to clips again, and we got the couple walking on the beach here. It's the same treatment for them. Turn off clips. We'll go to white balance. I'm not really seeing anything in this scene that's white, so you gotta think the waves you could use, but nah, you gotta just eyeball it sometimes. You can mess with your temperature. I said I'm going for something a bit more blue, so about there. And the tint, I think that is fine. Jump over to our vector scope. Here we can get our gain up. We can get our gamma down a bit. Wait, that is too far. Our gamma down. Yeah, and then we can take our lift. You can see if we make this bigger right here, we're almost hitting 0, so we don't want to go much further with that. That's the girl, she's wearing something dark right there. Yeah, so we don't want to hit 0 with that, so we can leave the lift about here, play with the gamma a little more, the gain, and we've got offset, of course, which just takes everything and moves it. So, right, so I think I'm liking the way that looks. Alright, so we can switch between our clips, see what they both look like. I think I'm digging that. Now let's move on to the adjustment layer, and this is where we actually apply the full color grade, right? So we'll just label this, call it blues. We're gonna mess with the blues a lot on this one. Alright, so we're gonna go to hue versus saturation. Click the aquas and the blues. So we'll make 4 points. Just delete one. You can grab the center one and drag it up to get some saturation in these blue colors. You can go forward. We'll see the saturation on both these clips. Right, but here for the clip with the girl, I think this has a bit more aquas in the blue, and the blue here is leaning more to the purples, right? So what we're gonna do, hop back to clips, go back to our girl here, and we'll Alt S once more, and we'll say node label, call this blues, and let's go to hue versus hue here. We'll click aquas, blue, remove one. Then we can either move it with our mouse, or we can drag this hue. Oh, forgot to select it. You can drag this hue, rotate here to move it up or down. So just move it up, introduce a bit of aquas in the blue. Go back to adjustment clip and turn the clips off here. We drag through it. Now the shots, they look a bit more cohesive, if that makes sense. I hope you get what I'm saying. Alright, so I think I'm gonna mess with the blues even more. Let's go to hue, add in the aquas, add the blues, purples. Just raise this some more, make it even more aqua. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna right click and say add a node, but this time we're gonna add a parallel node, so they're on the same level essentially. Just rename this to blues 2, and we'll grab the saturation again and do the same thing. We're just gonna raise the saturation that much higher, right? You could do that, or we turn this off by clicking the number. You can come here and turning up the gain, the output. You can go all the way up to 2. But I just like using multiple nodes to achieve this. So there we go. Back over to curves, and we can turn our saturation up even more. So here our footage is looking nice and fairly saturated. Now let's go crazy on the color grade here. You can click on the node that's mixing these nodes together, hit Alt S, have another one in front of here. I'll just call this one the oomph. Can't think of a better name right now. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go over to 2. We're gonna turn up our shadows. Ensure that we're on the adjustment clip so it affects everything, right? So we're gonna boost our shadows, and while we're at it, let's go back to 1 and add some more contrast in. And here on the primary wheels, we're gonna grab the gamma and move it up to the orange tones a little bit, right? Try to scrub through, see how it affects on both your clips. So I think a bit more to the yellows. That's looking alright. Yeah, and over here on log, I'm gonna grab the shadows and drag it down into the blues. Because you see, if let me just reset that. If I should go here and drag the shadows down here, it's gonna affect everything, and I don't want that. I want it to affect the shadow areas. So that's why I go over the log. If you drag it down, you can see it only affects the shadows. Right? So you can jump between the 3 of them and see how they affect your image, your video. Just takes a bit of experimenting. So here to the aquas, and here on gamma, drag to the yellowish oranges, right? But we don't want the skin to be too saturated. So over here on hue and saturation, we're gonna click, let's reset everything here. We're gonna click in the yellows and over here to the reds, drag it down, yeah. And here in the center, we're just gonna grab this, the oranges, and bring this down just a bit, just to not get the skin too saturated, right? So just barely tone that down. And now this is what we got. And I think I'm digging this grade. Now what you can do is save your look here as a LUT. If you come here and you don't see these showing the correct colors, you can right click and go to update all thumbnails. That happens every now and then. You can now right click your adjustment clip, go to save as 33 point cube, go to the, you should open this location by default. It's program data, Blackmagic design, Davinci Resolve, support, LUT. You can just go to new folder, call this my LUT. My LUTs, we'll call this oomph. Oh. There we go. And now if you go to the LUTs here, where is it? Yeah, LUTs. Right click, refresh, go to my LUTs, we got the oomph. And we can apply it, but you know, if we apply it a second time, it's gonna look like trash. So this look, I think it goes for one of those travel style videos, which is kind of fun and saturated and all that. You can always dial back the saturation, everything to give it a more natural look. You can do that here, or you can go to edit and go to inspector. Right here, select our grade, and you can turn the opacity down to change the intensity of that new look, right? And I think that covers everything in this little mini tutorial on my color grading workflow. So if you want to see more like this, Don't forget to smash the like button, hit subscribe, ring the bell. I know if you want to see that sweet subscribe animation, I made that in Blender. So if you want to see a tutorial on how I did that and how to make similar things like this, you can let me know in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to show you guys how I do all these things. Alright, well, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you stuck through it. Have yourselves a wonderful day or night, depending on where you are.